I couldn't help but exclaim when I came home exhausted from work. What the hell is this? The room looked like it had been ransacked. Bags of snacks scattered everywhere. In the center of the room was my mother-in-law and her sisters, slobbering in their sleep.
Oh, I didn't notice you came home. You've got quite a nice room, haven't you?
My mother-in-law wakes up. Don't be silly. What do you think you are doing? When I shouted out in distress, my mother-in-law clapped her hands and grinned at me.
We are going to live here from today. And Mary, you will work for us. They won't let you stay here.
She said something so outrageous with a breath that reeked of alcohol. Susan and Anna, my mother-in-law's sisters, are also grinning with wine glasses in their hands.
It's a little crumpled, but we'll just have to put up with it. I mean, it's a house with a maid. That's right. Oh, Mary, make me something to eat.
The three of them laughed so loudly that the neighbors might complain and chucked the wine. As I was dumbfounded,
I'm home.
I heard a cheerful voice calling. I suppressed my anger and head for the front door, where I found Derek taking off his shoes, also reeking of alcohol as expected. He did tell me beforehand that he was going to have a drink at the company reception, but the current situation was just making his return more annoying than ever. Derek, your mothers are making a terrible joke about them living here from today. Please do something about it.
Oh, come to think of it, I did get a message saying something like that. It said there was going to be a drinking party today, so are they still drinking?
I couldn't help but let out a what in a low voice. Are you serious? What are you going to do about the money?
They said they are going to put in some money as living expenses. So Mary, you can take care of the housework. I'm actually a little hungry, so can you make me a quick midnight snack?
Derek made his way into his room to change his clothes. When I returned to the living room, the three of them were lying down on the floor again, with their dumb-looking sleeping faces. I see a glass wine bottle lying on the floor. I couldn't contain my anger and picked it up. I met my husband Derek at work. At the time, I was working in sales for a food company. Derek was one of our clients, so we often saw each other, and since we both liked to drink, we got along right away. The year after we met, we started dating. We went to many good places for drinks and had drinks at home as well. Derek was a good boyfriend, a little witty at times, but always cheerful and optimistic. 2 years later, we got married and bought a house near my in-laws' house. It's spacious for the price, gets a lot of sun, and in a safe neighborhood. Derek gets along very well with his family, so we decided on it almost immediately. But that was the beginning of the mistake.
I'm so hungry. Mary, hurry with the dinner.
Are you going to have dinner here today too?
What's with that tongue? You don't have to be so sarcastic. Come on, get it ready.
Soon after we moved into our new house, my mother-in-law began to visit us almost every day. I had changed my job when I got married, so I certainly had more time on my hands. However, I was planning to use my free time to study for a certification. My mother-in-law came over to my house as if she was trying to get in the way, but I had no choice but to deal with her because I knew I could not disrespect my husband's mother. In retrospect, no matter how bad the atmosphere became, I should have firmly rejected her. Eventually, Susan and Anna, my mother-in-law's sisters, started coming to the house.
Oh no, we don't have any more snacks. Make sure you buy some. I'm opening the new bag of tea.
Susan and Anna are both divorced. If this is how they treated their husbands, it's no wonder they got divorced. But no matter how ill-mannered they were, to Derek, they are his close relatives. With this in mind, I continued to endure being treated like a maid. When the stress was getting to the point where I couldn't even manage my daily life, my mother-in-law and her sisters went away for a few days for a trip. I thought it was now or never, so I talked to Derek, but he didn't take me seriously at all.
My father just passed away, and they probably miss him. Don't get so uptight.
But our food bill is going up. If we keep going like this, we are going to have to cut into our savings.
What? That's just because you're not very good with money. I'm getting paid more now, and I'm putting in money for living expenses. So shouldn't that be enough?
When you say you're getting paid, it's just a few tens of dollars. But I was too exhausted to argue with him. 3 years have passed since then. I wondered how long I would have to continue living in this kind of hell. I thought so. But I was not yet at the bottom of hell. One day, my personal belongings start disappearing. Accessories, cosmetics, and other small things would disappear one after the next. Thinking that my mother-in-law and her sisters were the only ones who could do this, I started using a locked drawer. I began to keep everything I didn't want to be taken in there. But, no way! Why is the lock broken? The things I put inside are gone too. It was unforgivable that they would do such a thing, so I questioned my mother-in-law and her sisters. But of course, all 3 of them refused to tell me.
Oh no, a thief must have broken in. That's scary. It's not safe to leave the house unattended. Why don't you come over more often, Anna? Yeah, that's a good idea.
The 3 of them sat as they watched TV and devoured snacks. The snacks and tea out on the table were all prepared by me. I bit my lip and clenched my fist in anger. One day, when I came from work, I heard my mother-in-law and her sisters laughing from outside. I couldn't help but exclaim when I came home exhausted from work, "What the hell is this?" I walked in, suspicious, only to be greeted by an unbelievable sight. There were cardboard boxes piled up in the living room, and it looked like they belonged to the 3 of them when I checked the content. In the middle of the cluttered room, the 3 of them were having a drink. Perhaps noticing my presence, my mother-in-law approached me in a good mood.
We're going to live here from today. And Mary, you will work for us. Then we'll let you stay here.
She said something so outrageous with a breath that reeked of alcohol. Susan and Anna, my mother-in-law's sisters, are also grinning, with wine glasses in their hands.
It's a little cramped, but we will just have to put up with it. I mean, it's a house with a maid. That's right. Oh, Mary, make me something to eat.
The 3 of them laughed so loudly that the neighbors might complain, and chugged the wine. As I was dumbfounded,
I'm home!
I heard a cheerful voice calling. I suppressed my anger and head for the front door, where I found Derek taking off his shoes, also reeking of alcohol as expected. He did tell me beforehand that he was going to have a drink at the company reception, but the current situation was just making his return more annoying than ever. "Derek, your mothers are making a terrible joke about them living here from today."
Oh, come to think of it, I did get a message saying something like that. It said there was going to be a drinking party today. So, are they still drinking?
I couldn't help but let out a what in a low voice. "Are you serious? What are you going to do about the money?"
They said they were going to put in some money as living expenses. So Mary, you can take care of the housework. I'm actually a little hungry. So can you make me a quick midnight snack?
Derek made his way into his room to change his clothes. When I returned to the living room, the 3 of them were lying down on the floor again. As I glared at their dumb-looking sleeping faces, I felt anger welling up in me. I'm sick and tired of being pushed around by these people. I hurriedly called my friend, who worked as a lawyer. I've talked to her about my relationship with my in-laws for some time, so she agreed to come over. I left the house with a whole case of documents that I had hidden in a secret place. She said she would come to the nearest cafe, so I headed there. I gobbled up some pasta there as I felt my blood boil. When I finished eating, I received a call. I decided to invite that person to come to my house as well, so I texted back. Soon after, my friend arrived and we headed to my house. I opened the door to see Derek and the others were gathered in the middle of the living room for some reason. I told my friend lawyer to wait outside the door and looked down at Derek.
Hey, you hit Derek!
Huh? What are you talking about?
Don't play dumb. Here's a proof.
My mother-in-law pushed Derek's back. Derek's nose was stuffed with tissues, and a bump had formed on his forehead. Derek looked at me with a look of pain on his face. My mother-in-law points at me, spitting as she shouts,
You did this, didn't you? Pay up the alimony.
Yeah, we're against violence.
I sighed and slammed the divorce papers I kept in the top of the document case onto the table. Then, I opened the cupboard in the living room. I take out the surveillance camera I secretly set up and place it in front of everyone. And Derek and the others look at me with stunned expressions on their faces. Here's the truth. Let's all take a look. Since the camera is linked to my phone, I showed my phone to everyone. I hit the play button, and the phone shows the room as it was a few minutes ago. I see Derek coming into the living room in a good mood after getting undressed. Derek walks in, saying something to his mother and her sisters, who are already drunk and asleep. The next thing I know, Derek stumbled on the wine bottle and falls head first. The sound wakes the others from their sleep, and then rush to Derek. You already see who is responsible for this, don't you?
Doing this won't make any difference. All you had to do was clean up the mess properly.
Even though you are the ones drinking?
It's your job to clean. It's crazy of you to set up something like this in the first place.
You want to make it my fault, don't you? I didn't expect anything from these people, but I didn't think they would be this bad. I switched over to the footage the camera took a few days ago and showed my phone to them again. It's the footage of my drawer lock being broken. There they were, my mother-in-law and sisters, breaking the lock and stealing my things. The three of them must have felt cornered as their faces began to turn pale. The reason why I set this up was because I wanted to know who was stealing my things. I guess thieves can be closer than you think, eh?
Well, that's...
Wait a minute. Sure, maybe it was wrong of them to steal, but you knew I was hurt because you saw through the camera, didn't you? Then you're the perpetrator too, for being a bystander.
Derek's absurd argument made me burst out laughing. I wanted to ask myself why I had married such a man. I let my friend lawyer into the room and put the divorce papers on the table in front of Derek. I saw it just now and came back in a hurry because I was so surprised. I wouldn't have wished for you to get hurt, even though we would be getting a divorce. Unlike your family, my heart is not rotten. And I told him that the house is in my name. The house was purchased by my parents, and I had the documents to prove it. When I told them to pay for the room cleaning and for the stolen items, Susan and Anna started to fight back.
Hey, that's not what I heard. Yeah, I moved out of my apartment because you told me that I could live comfortably here. Are you telling me it's my fault? It was Susan who brought the wine in the first place.
While the three of them were arguing, Derek approached me. He apologizes to me with tears streaming down his face. I was about to say it was too late to apologize when the doorbell rang. I shouted, "Come in!" toward the front door, and a woman appeared.
Aunt Emma!
Oh, Derek, you're gained so much weight. And why do you look so miserable?
Emma takes off her sunglasses and smiles beautifully. I could feel the atmosphere of the place change. My mother-in-law and my sisters look uncomfortable, huddled around each other. Emma is my late father-in-law's sister. She runs a company and has a huge amount of money. When my father-in-law's company went bankrupt, she helped him pay off his debts and took care of his new company until it recovered. For this reason, My mother-in-law was completely indebted to Emma. Susan and Anna went to the same school as Emma, and they were also afraid of her. They were so stubborn that they didn't show up at the family gatherings, no matter how big of the feast it was. Derek, too, has been afraid of Emma ever since he was spanked as a child. Of course, it was not for no reason, but because of Derek's mischief. As for me, I met Emma through work. I liked Emma because she was very caring and straightforward, even though she was strict at times.
I can't believe you let Mary, who is so good at her job and so kind-hearted, go through this. You should be sorry.
But that's...
No excuses. All of you, sit on the floor.
With that, Emma began to lecture the four of them. They were fighting back so much until then, but all of them fell silent. The sermon went on for about an hour, and by the time it was over, Derek had stopped talking. Then, I made him sign the divorce papers in front of my friend and Emma. He also signed a written agreement that he would pay me alimony and any savings he had to use. And so, the years of hell finally came to an end.
Well then, cheers!
I gulped down the chilled beer. Is this what you call the taste of victory? It tasted several times better than the beer I usually drink. I was having a girls' night out with some of my girlfriends.
But I had no idea that your ex-husband was Derek. I was so surprised when I heard.
I know, right? Well, thank you for helping me out.
No problem at all. But I want to hear more about it.
After the divorce was finalized, I immediately sold the house. My mother-in-law and her sisters, who no longer had a place to live, were apparently working in a warehouse at Emma's company. They were put in a particularly tough department, and I heard they are struggling every day. Emma had paid for the cleaning of the house and the stolen items for the time being, and they were forced to work until they were able to pay it off. Derek's performance at the company had dropped dramatically, and he apparently had been demoted. One of the people I'm having a drink with today is a colleague of Derek's. She and Derek's went to the same school, and we happened to run into each other at the station. When I told her about the divorce, she spread the rumor in the company, and Derek's credibility was destroyed. Derek goes to work feeling ashamed of himself, but he thinks it's better than working at Emma's company, so he makes sure to show up every day. Emma laughed and said,
Don't worry. I will have him work for me as soon as he fails to pay back the money.
I really wonder why I married that guy.
Yeah, I understand that feeling. Well, it's a heartbreak drinking party today, so let's all laugh it off. That's right.
And so, our laughter echoed throughout the place.